Alright, so if you're a queer person or you consider yourself to be a queer ally, I really think that this is a conversation that can be shut down pretty quickly, but there's a lot of importance. So I'm going to start off with a bit about me. I am a non binary person who often makes the joke that I'm a hop, skip, and jump away from being female to male. I lived most of my life not identifying as anything except for a butch lesbian or a very masculine bisexual. That doesn't mean that I never knew though. When I was 4 years old, I was convinced that I was a boy. I was devastated at 9 years old when I started puberty and realized that I was not going to experience puberty as a grown boy would. I have had dysphoria for all of my life, but yet was able to convince myself that I didn't have it because of how bad transphobia is. Not to mention the way that media had portrayed transphobia when I was a child. To make things more clear, I'm 31. I grew up in the 90s, the 2000s, and the early 2010s. And I came out as trans or non binary several times. This is my third time out now. And the thing is, when you go into the closet again, you're not doing it for anyone except for yourself to feel more comforted and more safe and validated. But other than that, you're not doing it for anyone who you should be doing it for because the people who don't accept you, either they have something to learn or they will reject to let go of the hate in their hearts. And I think it's very important to talk about those who had early realizations that in one way or another they were not cis or they were not heterosexual because that's common, but it's also very common to shut it down because it's scary, not even just transphobia but homophobia and all the other things that come with it. The amount of pretending that your child's not bisexual because they your little girl, your daughter brought a boy home or your son brought a girl home. So yeah, they're over it. They're not practicing bisexual no more. Oh, absolutely not. And I think that's a very important thing for us to talk about because that's fucking scary. And it can also lead to teaching people who did have that experience that when they come out, it's not safe to say, well, you were so transphobic. Like, yeah, that's how you're socialized. And it doesn't justify it, but it does mean that you can be transphobic and also be a trans person. Like, even now, as a trans masculine non binary person, I want to get into drag so that I can express myself in a feminine way, but I don't want to be thought of as a girl. I have never been a girl. I tried so hard to be a girl as a child, and all it got me was pain, misery, suffering, alienation. I don't want to be seen as a girl because I've never been able to be a girl. I want to be able to do it artistically because I love how the feminine form looks. I love the beauty of it. I love how it is as an art form. Like I love the idea of drag, but like I could not pass in drag. I People would just think that I'm a cis woman, and like I can't get away from that. But am I going to let that change me? Am I going to let that control me? Well, for right now, because I don't have the money to do drag, but we have got to find new ways of not just shutting down someone when they start realizing, oh, wait, not only is this thing actually a normal thing and shouldn't be criticized or hated for, but I think I'm also part of this community because what are you going to do? Are you going to tell the man who was literally beaten for coming out as gay when he was a child that he's not allowed to claim the word gay anymore because like there is suppression in the queer community. There always has been, and like it's not as common in the United States anymore, though it is absolutely still there. But think about all the countries where not only is it okay for someone to be murdered because they're not straight or they're not cis, but it's also done by the state, by the government. And realize that if you're able to be out as queer in whatever capacity that you are, that is a blessing. It truly is. And for me personally, I think that talking about this and having open conversations is important. And like, I get why a lot of people do this because there's a lot of pain. I was very much like that when I first came out as transgender, female to male in the past, which I have a bunch of videos on in the past. I'm not going to bring them up because that's something else entirely. But I get the anger, I get the fear, I get the isolation of it all. But we have to understand that there are so many different paths to realize and who we are, and that has to be understood. And in the same capacity, you might not be someone who likes the word queer or slurs to begin with because of the trauma that's brought you. I've had similar traumas where I've been called a dyke, I've been called all kinds of things, and it's been fucking horrible and painful. But I think that a very important thing is to be able to reclaim those things and to understand us as who we are so that we have our power back from those who have tried to oppress us. And I think that none of it is cut and dry at all. Like, the pain that others feel is completely valid. And I hope that this gets out to people because I do think that's very important to talk about. And if you did watch this and you've watched this far, thank you for watching and please leave a comment. I would love to hear what other queer people and what queer allies would have to say to this. Thank you guys. Bye.